Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. But here's the problem with Canada. We're spending hundreds of billions a year to protect it. We don't need their cars. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need their lumber. We have massive fields of lumber. We don't need anything they have. So why are we losing $200 billion a year and more to protect Canada? They should be a state.
We didn't ask for this fight, but Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win.
A quiet northern giant, friendly and unassuming. But behind Canada's peaceful image lies a history packed with struggle, ambition, power plays, and countries that wanted to claim it as their own. In the early 1800s, an American newspaper openly called for the US to take over all of Canada, claiming it was only a matter of time. But even earlier, centuries before Confederation, foreign powers eyed the land not with respect, but with plans to own it. Long before flags were planted and maps redrawn, this vast northern land was already home. For over 12,000 years, Indigenous peoples thrived here, adapting brilliantly to every corner of the landscape. From the Arctic-dwelling Inuit to the forest-savvy Mi'kmaq in the east, to the vast plains ruled by the Cree and Blackfoot, these nations didn't just survive, they built complex, vibrant societies. The Iroquois Confederacy was a political marvel, a sophisticated alliance that influenced modern democratic ideas. In the West, the Haida and Tlingit carved out seafaring empires that stunned even early European visitors. These civilizations didn't need Europe to tell them how to govern or trade. They had complex systems of leadership, oral traditions that preserved history with astonishing accuracy, and economies built on cooperation and natural abundance. Their connection to the land wasn't just spiritual, it was survival, identity, and law, all wrapped into one. And it worked for thousands of years. Then came the ships. In the 1530s, Jacques Cartier arrived from France, greeted by people who didn't know their lives were about to change forever. Soon after, Samuel de Champlain founded Quebec in 1608 and opened the door to New France. Trade boomed, especially in fur, but with it came smallpox and measles, silent, invisible destroyers. In some regions, disease wiped out 90% of indigenous populations. Yes, 90%. Entire languages, traditions, and bloodlines vanished within a generation. But France wasn't the only one with ambitions. Britain saw an opportunity too, and conflict exploded. The 7 Years' War, often called the First True World War, ended in 1763, with France ceding most of its North American claims to Britain. Canada, as it would come to be known, was now British territory. But it wasn't the end of conflict. Far from it. As the American Revolution raged in the late 1700s, Loyalists fled north, reshaping Canada's demographics. And with the US victory came a dangerous new ideology: manifest destiny. It was the belief that America was destined, no, entitled, to rule all of North America. Canada was seen as unfinished business. In 1812, the US tried to invade Canada. It failed. Not once, but multiple times. Incredibly, Canadian militias, British troops, and Indigenous warriors like the legendary Tecumseh held the line. The White House was burned, and to this day, Canadians mark it with a quiet pride. But the threats didn't stop there. In the 1840s, Russia held outposts near British Columbia and sent explorers deep into the Yukon and Alaska, hoping to expand its influence. The fear of a Russian incursion helped drive Britain and Canada to solidify control over the West. That fear wasn't imagined. Russia had already sold Alaska to the US in 1867. Canada was next, unless something changed. So, something did. On July 1st, 1867, the British North America Act created a confederation, binding Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia into one dominion. It was a masterstroke. Canada wasn't fully independent yet, but it had structure, leadership, and unity. And unity was crucial. The Transcontinental Railroad wasn't just about moving goods, it was about survival. If Canada couldn't connect its east and west coasts, the United States might fill in the gaps. Completion of the Canadian Pacific Railway in 1885 was in many ways a declaration. Canada is whole. Canada is here to stay. Still, foreign interests didn't simply vanish. In the 20th century, whispers of annexation re-emerged. In the 1940s, some US politicians floated the idea of absorbing Canada into a broader North American Union. It didn't happen, but the conversation alone spoke volumes. Here's the twist. Canada was almost split, not just stolen. In 1995, Quebec held a referendum to separate from the rest of Canada. The vote? 49.42% in favor. That's right, Canada came within a hair of breaking apart peacefully. But the people said no, barely. And the aftermath? A surge in national unity movements and an intensified effort to recognize French language rights and Quebecois culture across the nation. Today, Canada stands as one of the most respected nations in the world, a global leader in diplomacy, human rights, and multiculturalism. It's a founding member of the United Nations and contributes heavily to peacekeeping efforts. Its trade deals span continents, from the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership in Asia-Pacific to the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement in North America. Canada's economic ties stretch further than most would imagine, with strong relationships with the European Union and a growing influence in the Arctic Council. But the threats have simply changed shape. Economic pressure, misinformation, cyber espionage. They don't wear uniforms, but they test Canada's sovereignty every day. That's why alliances matter. NATO, NORAD, the G7. And perhaps more than anything, Canada's commitment to embracing diversity and protecting freedoms. Its cities, from Vancouver to Toronto to Halifax, are living examples of peaceful coexistence, of inclusion practiced daily. Its policies on immigration and refugee resettlement have been praised globally. And with challenges like climate change looming large, Canada is stepping up, investing in green technologies, Indigenous stewardship programs, and Arctic sovereignty patrols. This is not just about identity, it's about survival. Here are 4 bonus facts. 1. Canada is the second largest country on Earth, but due to harsh climates, only about 12% of its land is habitable. The United States still wants to control Canada as its 51st state under its president, Donald Trump. 2. It has the world's longest undefended border with the United States, over 8,800 kilometers. 3. Canada didn't get full constitutional independence from Britain until 1982. That's when it passed the Constitution Act, giving it complete control over its laws and future. 4. Over 250 ethnic origins are reported by Canadians, making it one of the most multicultural nations on Earth. Toronto alone is considered the most diverse city in the world, with more than half its population born outside Canada. So, the next time someone says Canada is boring, remember, it's been eyed by superpowers, nearly fractured by politics, and defended by warriors and builders who carved a nation out of uncertainty. That's not boring. That's epic. Like this deep dive into history? Stick around. More untold stories are just around the corner. And subscribe to this channel. Best Time Quest.